This is a kindergarten in Hong Kong. Every morning there is a special program. The teachers and all the children have to hold the CCP flag raising ceremony and sing the national anthem together. In response to this incident, a child's parent said, "My son is only 3 years old, but every child must learn to sing the national anthem, using our flesh and blood to build our new Great Wall." This lyric jumped out of the mouth of a 3-year-old child, which is chilling. This is the sadness of Hong Kong. If it was in Hong Kong a few years ago, this scene would be unimaginable, but today, in the so-called one country, two systems, Hong Kong, especially after the implementation of the mainland's national security law, the CCP's Red Education for the Next Generation has also entered Hong Kong's primary and secondary schools and kindergartens. The purpose is clear: to enhance the next generation's sense of identity with the CCP and China. On August 31st, as the new school term began for primary and secondary schools in China, Xi Jinping published a signed article in the party journal Seeking Truth, clearly warning that Chinese education must not cultivate socialist destroyers and gravediggers. In the article, Xi emphasized that the fundamental task of education is to cultivate socialist builders and successors. This is not only a requirement of China's socialist system, but also an important means to maintain long-term stability. He said that we should guard against the phenomenon of having a Chinese face but not a Chinese heart, having no Chinese sentiment and lacking Chinese flavor. Educational failure will lead to fundamental failure, which is a historical mistake that China cannot afford. So what is the Chinese flavor of education? In recent years, under the leadership of Xi Jinping, the Chinese authorities have continuously strengthened ideological education. The outside world has noticed that this move has further promoted Chinese education's red turn. The intensity of systemic brainwashing education for the next generation is constantly increasing. In 2023, Xi Jinping's New Era Socialism with Chinese characteristics will officially become a compulsory course from elementary school to university. This is what Xi longs for, or the ideal education in his mind. That every generation from elementary school to university must learn Xi Jinping's thought, referred to as Xi thought. The Beijing authorities have been wary of the rebellious forces of young people since the June 4th incident in 1989. Previously, brainwashing education was mainly in universities, where teachers and students had too many free thoughts, making it difficult to control. Later, it was found that fewer and fewer people believed in these communism and socialism statements. So the Beijing authorities learned lessons and began to brainwash and control thoughts from students in primary and secondary schools. The purpose is to lower people's intelligence and make Chinese people have only one way of thinking, which is most conducive to maintaining the CCP's regime and maintaining the class privileges of the Communist Party. Let's take a look at the following video. In the context of Red Education, what is the Chinese dream that the CCP instills in its students? What is the Chinese dream? The Chinese dream of ordinary people is that the elderly can afford medical treatment and have pension security. Children can afford to go to school and young people can afford to live in houses. No gangs, no school bullying, no corruption, no missing people, everyone is equal. This is the Chinese dream in the hearts of ordinary people. Let's take a look at how big the gap is between the so-called Chinese dream and reality. On the one hand, senior CCP officials are corrupt and have piles of cash in their homes. On the other hand, ordinary people are struggling desperately to survive. September 3rd, 2024, the Central Commission for Discipline and Inspection found a huge amount of RMB cash in the basement of Wang Yilin, chairman of PetroChina. The amount of Wang Yilin's embezzlement and bribery was as high as 900 billion RMB. All the valuables in his house took 10 trucks a week to move. September 2nd, 2024, Guangzhou, Guangdong Province. Urban management officers confiscated a small toy from a vendor who held onto the toy tightly. A bystander pleaded for the vendor, "Master, please let him go. It's not easy for him to do a little business." September 3rd, 2024, Jingdezhen, Jiangxi Province. Urban management officers confiscated a basket of eggs from a vendor, and the woman held onto the basket tightly. Ironically, the slogan behind them read, "Create a nationally civilized city and work together to build a poetic-like city of Fu Liang." September 1st, 2024, Zhengzhou City, Henan Province. An owner bought a school district house, but the school was about to start and the primary school promised by the developer had not been built, resulting in the children being unable to go to school. The owner was helpless and knelt down to the developer. In response to Xi Jinping's article, Feitian University professor Dr. Zhang Tianliang also analyzed, the core goal of Chinese education is not to cultivate talents, but to cultivate slaves who are loyal to socialism and the party. According to Xi Jinping's statement, we cannot cultivate the gravediggers of socialism. It's essentially a replica of the red and expert during the Cultural Revolution, except that the object of loyalty has been changed from Mao Zedong to Xi Jinping. Recently, in mainland China, that is, since Xi came to power, various Marxist thought institutes have been set up. There is also the Xi Jinping Thought Institute, which aims to strengthen the brainwashing of students in the field of education. On August 28th, Radio Free Asia published an article titled, China's revised textbooks are further reddened, the sixth-generation director. The CCP's fascist education has ruined 4 generations. The article said, the CCP official media reported that on August 27th, the Chinese Ministry of Education took 2 years to complete the entire editing and review procedures for the 3 unified textbooks, which will include compulsory education, morality and law, Chinese, and history. The official media claims that through these textbooks the goal is to cultivate the soul, and the soul is to fully promote Xi Jinping's socialist thought with Chinese characteristics in the new era and the spirit of the 20th Party Congress. In the Viewpoint article after the news, Xinhua news agency bluntly stated, the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China has made new arrangements for textbook work, and it's necessary to further strengthen the state's voice in the textbook construction project, fully reflect the will of the party in the country, lay a good foundation for China, and cultivate patriotism, and always listen to the party and follow the party. Hu Shuiyang, a sixth-generation Chinese director living in France, believes that the CCP has been tampering with history and promoting fascist nationalist education in textbooks, which has destroyed 4 generations. The current practice is to continue to make the textbooks more fascist, brainwashed, and hypocritical. Today's enhanced brainwashing will make China further and further away from world civilization. In such a big environment, China's school education has been constantly alienated, and people have become very indifferent to each other. Some phenomena are shocking. For example, on September 2nd, a group of junior high school students from Shuwei Middle School in Shanghai were punished by their teacher and forced to stand outdoors at a high temperature of 35 degrees. During the period, a student was exhausted and fell to the ground due to heat stroke. However, what is shocking is that the other students at the scene were transfixed, and no one stepped in to help. Faced with this situation, a male teacher slowly came over and went back to the classroom. No one called the emergency number to save the student. A child fell. Did you see it? A child fell down, and no one cared. The teacher was not there. A child fainted, and no one cared. You saw him lying on the ground. Other students called the teacher, but no one cared. Let him get up by himself. Did you see it? The teacher came out slowly with his hands behind his back. It was this teacher. Everyone saw his face clearly. It was he who let the children bask in the sun for such a long time while he hid inside. This article of Radio Free Asia also wrote that the well-known ex-blogger Wall Country Frog Haha said in an interview, under the brainwashing of the CCP, the Chinese people have gradually lost their ability to think and have become patriots who cannot distinguish right from wrong, or fools manipulated by the regime. However, reality is the best teacher. College students are unemployed upon graduation, shoddy roads and bridges collapse frequently, and chemicals and edible oils are mixed. The illusions that the CCP weaves for children are so beautiful, and the children will be so angry when they are awakened by reality in the future. I believe that many people will wake up to the cruel reality. Recently, a school teacher made her name public and uploaded a video to expose the dark side of the education industry and speak for her peers in education. Today is August 23rd, 2024. My name is Liu Kuei Ling, and I am a school teacher. Yesterday, I received a message from a colleague who wanted to jump off a building because she was overwhelmed by the various tasks at school. As a teacher with 31 years of experience, I want to speak up for my colleague, speaking for fellow educators. First, Yao Yan, a teacher from Jiaozhou City, fought to death and dared to speak out about unfair phenomena, which became popular on the internet. The teacher Lu from Zhengzhou and teacher Zhu from Xiamen were forced to jump off the building. There are also students whose parents are dissatisfied with stratified teaching and make a fuss at parent-teacher meetings. Education is unfair and has pushed parents and teachers into a corner. The teacher also summarized the 6 major issues in China's education sector. Today, I want to tell you about the school education chaos. 1. There are many miscellaneous tasks. There are countless inspections, acceptances, evaluations, demonstrations, open classes, topics, and continuing education in schools. Teachers work overtime and are exhausted, saying they will not live to retire. 2. There are many leaders in charge, including business principals, logistics principals, moral education principals, and top leaders. Online teachers rise to the challenge, leaders rise to the honor, and even collude with each other. This has led to years of unhealthy school spirit and poor grades. Parents don't understand these things and complain that teachers' teaching level is not good enough. 3. There are many kinds of curriculum reform. Ideas for reform emerge endlessly, and it seems that you will be eliminated if you don't reform. The originally lively classroom has become a performance class for teachers, competing to see whose teaching methods are better and whose performance is more attentive. It's called curriculum reform, but it's a toss. 4. There are many changing items. I don't know if everyone feels the same. Tour tuition, uniforms, overtime, milk. When did schools become a business? Teachers are helpless. Where is the original intention of education? Parents and children cannot be treated as lambs to be slaughtered. 5. There are many ways to make money. Tutoring materials each semester are a big source of income for school leaders. They give orders frequently during meetings, and teachers cannot recommend tutoring materials. The tutoring materials are distributed to the class in a short while. When the superiors came to inspect, they told the teachers to hide the tutoring materials and told the students, "We did not use the tutoring materials. This is our education, teaching students to lie." 6. There are many strange things in career selection. People who can't teach have excellent city-level course certificates and award-winning thesis papers, and one teacher even lied about his teaching experience just because his relative was a leader. A Japanese netizen born in the 1990s told Radio Free Asia that China's current brainwashing education is worse than before. Japan needs to be vigilant about the CCP's strengthened militaristic education. He said China's brainwashing education is all-round and three-dimensional. We didn't have such a thing during the era of the Sino-Vietnam War and the Sino-Indian War. At most, there was the anti-Japanese war. This is simply trying to turn China into a militarist country, starting with children. Children are subjected to militarist brainwashing education, which is a very dangerous signal for China's neighbor Japan. A teacher in Dalianshan, Sichuan province uploaded a video in which he physically punished a primary school student for writing "I love Japanese" on his painting. Today, during the break, a few students showed me another student's drawing, saying, "Teacher, what do you see? This is a first-year student who just finished art class. Let me see what you wrote." Yes, that's right. Did you draw this? Tell me, why did you write these words? When I wrote these words about Chinese people, I forgot how to write them. You forgot to write about Chinese people, so how can you write about Japanese people? I tell you, you are Chinese. You have to remember, do you hear me? Teachers can forgive you for any mistakes. You can make any mistakes, but you cannot make this kind of mistake. Do you understand? Do you all hear me? Tear it up in front of me, tear it up hard, and throw it in the trash can. If anyone dares to write such words again, I will send you home directly. Do you hear me? This school does not want you and does not want students like you. The teacher also said in the video that his educational method is correct and that he feels very honored. Chinese netizens also overwhelmingly support his approach, believing children should be taught the proper values. This kind of education happens every day in China, and hundreds of millions of Chinese children grow up in this kind of hate education. I think some things must be taught to him strictly. Although we also played this kind of war game when we were young, some people played Chinese soldiers, some played Japanese, and put a little black on their noses to make up. We played this kind of game, but we played it as bad guys and bad guys. So I think they must recognize this sentence on the paper today. I realized the seriousness of the problem, and I went around several classes and emphasized this problem severely. Although we can't take revenge today, this modern society does not allow it. But we must keep the national and family hatred in mind, and this point must never be forgotten. In addition, according to the information released by the X blog Teacher Lee is Not Your Teacher, the translation of the cover of the English textbook of the Beijing Normal University High School textbook has changed to the Pinyin Yingyu instead of English. Netizens mock this as Xi Jinping-style cultural confidence, and some worry that China's brainwashing education has also affected international schools, etc. According to official Chinese news, the Ministry of Education of China will start the revision of the 3-subject unified textbooks in March 2022, and 200 people will participate in the editing and revision. During the revision process, the Chinese Communist Party authorities have organized more than 550 schools, more than 2,000 teachers, and more than 100,000 students in 18 provinces, autonomous regions, municipalities, and the Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps to conduct trial teaching and trial use. According to the plan, the 3-subject unified textbooks for compulsory education will cover all grades within 3 years. It's unknown whether international and private schools will also be covered in the future. The Beijing government also claimed that to promote the use of textbooks, the Ministry of Education of China has recently carried out national-level demonstration training for backbone teachers, and all localities will complete the training of all teaching teachers by the end of August. After the textbooks are put into use, their use will be continuously monitored, which is equivalent to mandatory protection.